for tuning in. My name is Nalong Urechuku, and you are watching The Strange Acts of God. This is the NSPPD Testimony Show, where we call the experts in just to review and analyze the testimonies and the wonders of God that we got to hear on NSPPD. And wow, what a week it has been on NSPPD. Have you been following? July has indeed bowed. What a way to close out of the month. I mean, heaven is holding nothing back. I'm itching, I'm eager to jump right into the testimonies we saw in the course of the week. But right before I do so, can I quickly remind you to click on the share button, tag a friend, share to a group, invite someone, let them know we're on. You know, time and time again, we've seen people receive their testimonies just by listening and keying into the testimonies of others. So when we say share, 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 we share with understanding. Jesus said, the words that I speak to you are spirit and life. These aren't just mere stories, but these testimonies carry great transformational power. Go ahead and click on the share button if you are yet to, because today's show is loaded. In studio with me, I have not one, but two amazing, seasoned doctors in the house. Returning to the show is Dr. Paul Ungu. He's no stranger to the show. He is a consultant urologic surgeon, and he's returning to guest consult with us for the very first time. Welcome to the Strange Acts of God, Dr. Paul.
Yeah, welcome. Good to be here once again.
So excited to have you back with us. And our second guest today is a first-time guest on the Strange Acts of God. She is a seasoned family physician with almost 30 years of experience under her belt. She also doubles as the HOD of the medical team in Streams of Joy, Abuja. Dr. Uche Ibe is joining us for the first time. I am so honored to have you with us, Ma. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so delighted to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Have you been watching NSPPD? Have you been following?
Definitely.
Major
amazing.
testimonies.
It's
Major
amazing.
testimonies this week. This
Great
week has been
testimonies.
awesome. This week has been
Awesome.
awesome. You know, sometime last year in August, Papa had declared that at his birth month, God had said he was giving NSPPDians miracle babies. That was last year, August. And since May, 9 months, over 9 months, there's been an avalanche of miracle babies. Avalanche of miracle babies pouring in. Amazing. Our first two testifiers are women and families that testified of being recipients of these miracle babies from heaven. Our first testifier is Mr. Toby, testifying from the United Kingdom. And our second testifier is Mrs. Opeyemi, testifying from Ibadan in Oyo State, Nigeria. Watch this and we will be right back.
God cannot do does not exist. What God cannot do does not exist. My name is Toby, and I'm sharing my testimony from United Kingdom. See, I'm the one that they've mocked. I'm the one that they've ridiculed. I'm the one that they've shamed. But God stepped in. What God cannot do does not exist. My wife had been having miscarriages back to back, and God did it. The process, if I explain it to you, it will be long. But let me just give you a snippet into it. We've been having miscarriages to the level that they told me that go and tie your baby traditionally. And I said, no, I'm not going to tie this baby. I don't even know where they tie. Now only house of God I sabi. That God that is going to give me the baby will be the one that will see us through and will have the baby. In the middle of it, God did it. My wife got pregnant. 2 weeks after she got pregnant, after like 5 miscarriages, the devil struck. We saw pool of blood, lump. We went to the hospital, and what they told us was, but they saw something small, but with this blood, maybe they just need to move her for evacuation. But before they do it, go and check in a bigger facility. I said, with the small thing that they saw, that my faith is tied to it, that small thing will turn to baby. Pastor Jerry too kept praying. Even if they say the baby is dead, even if they say but oh my God, we went to the hospital, and when we went to the hospital for the first time, after like 5 miscarriages, they told us that they could hear cardiac activity. That was the word I will never forget in my life. We were happy, we thank God. Now I told my wife, you know I resigned so that I could stay with your baby the last one where miscarriage happened. This time around, no work really do, our money no day. How do we do this? She said, don't worry, God will do it. Then we started roller coaster. Then we heard about the idea of relocating. I checked my account. I checked the relocation fee. No match at all. But Pastor Jerry was always praying that God will come through for you. Mantle of overtaker. In fact, it's because of me. God did that prayer point. Because I always tell my wife, there's like I've lost like 10 years of my life. Something needs to happen very fast. And now pregnancy. And now more cars are around. God, help us. We kept praying relentlessly. From minus 42 naira in my account when we started the process of relocation till spending over 10 million within 2 months and 15 days, we flew out of Nigeria. And did I tell you, my baby in my wife's womb was 39 weeks at that time. It's only prayer that kept the baby. At the airport, they didn't even notice. They just thought that maybe it was 4 or 5 month pregnancy. Immediately we got into the UK, we went to the hospital for checkup. They told my wife that you are not going. And 4 days after, we had our evidence. Our Jasmine. I call her London because now here we born her. I call her London. See my bundle of joy. See my bundle of joy. Oh, what God cannot do does not exist. See my very supportive wife. My very, very supportive wife. And to everybody looking unto God for the gift of the womb. You too, you will carry your own baby. Everybody that has ever mocked us, they don't shut up. Let me tell you the biggest part of the story. God even provided more than I was expecting to take care of this baby. Everything we've been doing for this baby has been new. No borrow post. No struggle. God has done what I missed in 10 years in Nigeria. He collapsed it within 5 months financially. I'm in my own house in UK. Now God do what God cannot do does not exist. Bye.
Thank you, Jesus.
My name is Opeyemi. I'm making this video testimony from Ibadan, Nigeria. On 2nd June 2011, that's about some 11 years ago, my husband and I got married with high hopes of raising a family immediately. But that wasn't forthcoming. There was no problem with my husband and there was no problem with me. So doctors just advised that, well, we should just be enjoying ourselves and just put our minds off it. But then the second year went, and in 2013, somebody from my husband's family, somebody very close to him, called him and said, oh, if your wife gets pregnant and in the 2nd month of the pregnancy, that my husband should inform her so that there are some steps that she will take in order for the child not to be born as an imbecile. So when my husband got home and told me, I just waved it off and I told him that, well, she just wanted to know if I was pregnant or not, so we just waved it off and that was it. That was 2013. 2014 went, nothing happened. And 2015, nothing happened. Then I was diagnosed to have fibroid. We did everything medically possible for us to have kids, but none of them worked. So I was going from one pastor to another, laying of hands, several deliverances, pouring of anointing oil, fasting, prayer, everything possible that could make us have kids. Nothing worked. In 2020, September 23 to be precise, my sister-in-law sent me the link of NSPPD. So when I opened the link and I saw a couple sit down and they were praying and they were firing, because I liked prayer, I joined immediately. Last year, April, somebody called me that there was a very, very good gynecologist, female gynecologist in Abuja, that she would like us to see. So we booked an appointment with the person and we arrived at the person's office, and that was the most truthful and the most devastating news report about myself that I've had. in all the 10 years at that time that I waited. She did a 3D, there was a 3D scanning machine that was used to scan my womb, and immediately she placed the machine. She said, "Oh, you had done surgery before?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Surgery for what?" I said, "For fibroid." Oh, she said, "When was that?" I said, "In 2019. She said, "Well, according to what she was saying," she was showing me. She didn't even need to tell me because it was clear enough for me to see. She said, according to what she was seeing, that when the wound of the fibroid surgery was healing, that there was adhesion in my womb. And I asked what adhesion was. He said my womb gummed together. And matter of fact, about 75% of my womb was gummed together. There was a little space, just a little space, that was in my womb that day that I saw. And she said that little space was where the monthly flow was coming from, and that medically it's an impossibility for me to get pregnant. It was like my life went down before me, crumbled before me. And she told me that even if we were to do an IVF, she wasn't even going to give us a 50-50, expectancy, that because the first thing to do was a hysteroscopy. I said, "What's the hysteroscopy?" She said it's a procedure to open the womb. Then immediately we open the womb, we have to do IVF. So there was the chance of pregnancy if we did hysteroscopy and IVF. Okay, then she said because of my age, I was already over 40, and she said because of my age, there's a tendency that my eggs were not going to be viable enough for that kind of thing. So she was looking at a chance of, a possibility actually of donor egg, that I was going to need a donor egg. So she put down the price, that they were going to test my husband's sperm. If it was viable enough, they were going to use it. If not, we were going to need a donor sperm. She put the price. So I said, "So what's the first thing to do?" She said the first thing to do was for me to do a test to test my eggs to see how viable they are. And she told me that at 40, there's a percentage that was expected of my eggs to be so I should come and do a test. They will do my husband's sperm examination too. Immediately we stepped out of the hospital. My husband and I did not talk at all. We were silent till we got downstairs. Immediately we stepped downstairs. My husband just looked at me and said, "Babe, it's very obvious right now that we have to save up for hysteroscopy and IVF." Immediately, that second that he said that to me, I will not lie, I had Pastor Jerry's voice in my ears. Two things: it will not end the way the devil planned it, and what you are afraid of will not happen. I was afraid of IVF, I will not lie, because I had done IUI twice that did not work. I had done hydrotubation, I had done HSG, I had done everything that did not work. So the pain was, in fact, those pain, they are unimaginable. So I didn't want to go through all those things again. Towards the last week of April, Pastor Jerry declared a fast, that we're going to fast the last Monday to the last Friday. So I decided not to do the test. It's called ovarian reserve. I decided not to do the test yet until we were done with the fast. Immediately we came back in the first week in May last year. Pastor Jerry announced that we're going to fast again Monday to Friday. That's the first week of May. So after we were done with the fast, I went for the test. I was asked to wait 48 hours for the test to be done. They were going to send the results to me via email. So on Friday, and I just discovered that I got an email on my phone. The content was too tiny for me to read. I couldn't even interpret. So I just forwarded it straight to the doctor in Abuja. She said, "Oh, why didn't you do the test last month?" I said something came up, so I decided not to do it. He said, "First off, are you sure that's your result?" I said, "Yes, I am. That's what was sent to me." He said, "Because that percentage that is in that result belongs to a 28-year-old lady between 28 and 30. That it's almost impossible for somebody over 40 to have that kind of result." I was like, wow, that's the first miracle for me. So in July, we were done with NSPPD prayers and we were doing the testimony. One woman was giving a testimony and she said she had a fibroid surgery and her womb was cut off in the process, and she came to the fire altar and she prayed and she got a new womb. Immediately I heard that the clothes just dropped from my hand and I'm like, are you sure that these people are not lying to us? How do wombs grow? I just had it in my head that, is that your business? Why don't you just key into this testimony and say God should give you a new womb? If it is possible to give new wombs. Immediately I started praying to God. That was July. I started praying to God, God, please give me a new womb. Give me a new womb. It's okay for me to be able to get pregnant with a new womb, because 18 fibroids were removed from my womb and each point that was removed was tapped. So I said, oh, that womb, maybe it was a bit damaged. That it will be okay for me to get pregnant with a new womb. So I started asking God for a new womb. In August, Pastor Jerry's birthday, we were praying. So he said we should make a point of contact with what we wanted. If you are looking for a baby, get a baby clothes. I had baby clothes that I've bought with faith. So I just rushed into my closet. I picked a very big dress that looked like a maternity gown. Then I took a wrapper and wrapped it and put it inside my tummy. And I stood in front of my mirror and I took the picture. And I prayed with that picture that day. I said, God, this is how I want to see myself in a few months' time. That's it. How the baby came in, I do not understand. I did not do hysteroscopy. I did not do IVF. I don't know. I did not even go back to the doctor. My doctor in Ibadan here, I didn't bother to. There was no time to go back to him because everything happened too fast. And on Saturday, I went to go and do the pregnancy test, and it came out positive. She said, the pregnancy test is positive. I said, me. So as I'm standing like this, I'm a pregnant woman. She said, yes. I collapsed on the floor. I cried like a baby. My husband and I hugged ourselves and we cried like well. It wasn't crying. We weren't crying in bitterness. We were crying for joy. That so God, you can do this thing. Like, how did you do it? We don't know. So I decided that I'm going to share my testimony with this t-shirt, and that's what I'm going to wear for my pregnancy shoot. I did it for myself. I did it for my baby. On 10th July 2022, my miracle came. My miracle baby, a baby boy. He came out so beautiful. His skin is the best that I've seen. Everything came out so perfect. I give all glory to God. And for the first time in my life, after I gave birth to my son, we were taking Holy Communion, and I did not ask God to let me get pregnant. I didn't ask God to see me through the pregnancy. I thank God of heaven that He gave me a baby after 11 years of marriage. It was tough, but God was tougher. Pastor Jerry, God bless you. Mommy, I know God bless you. Thank you for standing in the gap for us. Thank you for teaching us how to pray. Thank you for everything that you are doing for us. In Jesus' name, God will help you more. This is my miracle baby, beautiful baby boy. He is named Eri Ifeoluwasimi. That means that this is the testimony of God's goodness and love unto me. Oluwajomiloju, God has surprised me on the altar of fire. And I pray for everybody looking for this type of testimony, that God will answer you and meet you at the very point of your need. And on the altar of fire, there is power here and there is fire. And here we still till Jesus comes. Thank you, Pastor Jerry. God bless you.
Yeah, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Wonderful.
Wow.
Thank you, Jesus.
What
This
a
is
testimony.
Wow.
The wait is over. Oh
Jesus.
my
Oh
God.
my
This
goodness.
is
Oh my
awesome.
God. It is
Dr. Uche,
awesome.
where do I even
Awesome.
begin?
I don't know.
Oh my goodness. She said so many things.
Even the guy, I love the energy. I mean, he was actually, the wife wasn't even around for the initially. And it was going on and on. And I can see that energy, that passion. I mean, I love it when men do that.
Yes,
seriously.
It's
That was
exciting.
amazing.
It's exciting.
That was
Oh
amazing.
my God.
Wow.
Now, Mrs. Opeyemi, 11 years wait.
That's correct.
Over. Glory to God.
Over.
Glory
Amen.
to God. Where do I
Amen.
begin
Amen.
from? She said she
Amen.
had a battered womb.
Yes.
18 fibroids removed. 18.
Wow.
18.
That's
and
major.
each part.
That's huge.
It's huge,
Really
right?
huge.
Why
Really
is her
huge.
womb even
Really
still
huge.
surviving?
They should have done a hysterectomy and just
Yes.
remove the womb.
Yes.
But,
For whatever reason, the womb was
whatever-
kept.
It kept it.
Yes.
But she never had a baby. So they wanted to give it a chance.
Yes. And in addition to that, she said, because she was over 40, age was not working out for her
Age
as
was
well.
not on her side. She had a lot of issues going on. She had a lot of issues. She had a fibroid. First of all, she wasn't able to conceive. She had a fibroid.
Yes.
They removed the fibroid. And then the adhesion.
18 fibroids. They removed 18
correct. So
fibroids.
that was huge. Probably when they were doing that, they scraped the uterus so far that, it formed that adhesion. So she has so much going on.
Yes.
That now the adhesion that had formed already kind of compressed the uterus, On top of that, she's 40 years old.
Over 40.
Over 40. So that time the production of her egg have actually reduced drastically. So the chances of getting pregnant is just going down and down and down and down.
They said they called it impossible.
It looked like impossible because she mentioned that 75% of her uterus was actually gummed together. That's the adhesion. She only have about 25%.
Right.
Where the cycle, the egg comes down and then she's able to have cycle. But it's impossible for any implantation to happen with that kind of uterus.
Right.
Because the eggs have to come down when the conception takes place. Then it has to attach itself to the walls of the uterus, and it's already scarred to the point that nothing is happening. So the chances of her getting pregnant was just.
She talked about having to
knocking
have
on the wall.
an hysterectomy. She said she had to have that. What's that process like?
It wasn't a hysterectomy. She had a hysteroscopy.
Okay.
It's a scope that they use to go into the uterus so they can actually see where the adhesions, where the scars are, and they can actually do a procedure. And when they're able to kind of, nip, cut some places, take it and open it better, then they can do an IVF. So now, that's correct.
Right.
That is correct.
Right.
That's right. So when they do an IVF, the chances of the baby, the fetus developing is just increased.
What I hear you say is that her chance, medically speaking, of having a baby is she has to first of all do that process.
That's correct.
And then in addition to that, she has to do an IVF. And even that IVF is not under guarantee because her eggs.
She said it's about 50-50.
Yes.
Not even guaranteeing 50. And not only that, because of the age, with age, the cell, the eggs start to reduce. And not only that, the quality of the eggs and the quantity is reducing.
My goodness.
So that predisposes her, even if she uses her egg. That's why the doctor was talking about a donor egg, a new fresh egg. So that decreases her chances. So even if you use that egg, she might actually have a baby with a Down syndrome because that's a chromosomal defect that could actually happen.
My goodness.
And that can give you a baby with a Down syndrome. So that's why this is amazing. Really amazing.
The closer you add to menopause, the higher the chances of this problem.
That is correct.
Yes.
She was very
And she was told to go and do an ovarian reserve test, she said.
That's correct. That's the count. They wanted they go in there, they count, with an ultrasound, they count the follicles. Because what happens when you're born, you actually have, egg cells, which develop. And as you age, they're all dying off and some is coming down as your menstrual cycle. So even at that age, that she's talking about, she's supposed to have about, say, 120,000 to 72,000 eggs there, if she's lucky, or else she could be on the lower side.
Right.
But when she went and they said, she had eggs
within the range
of 28 years. I mean, she had about 300,000 to 400,000, or the most, about 250,000.
Hey!
So that's amazing. How she could do that, or how they could do that, is quite amazing.
She said rather than go to do the test, she decided to go on a fast.
That is
for
correct.
a long period of time.
She did.
And then she came back, and then her egg reserve, the egg count went through the roof.
Like, whoa.
And they weren't done with that, and a baby entered.
I don't know.
No IVF.
Really, no IVF.
Bypassed the fibroids, the battered womb.
Everything.
Everything.
Baby came out healthy.
Goodness.
No problems.
Hey.
This is amazing.
This is amazing.
Really amazing.
This is amazing.
Really amazing.
And then we have Mr. Toby.
Yes.
In his case, he was also suffering from miscarriages.
Yes,
his wife was having tons of miscarriages. And you can imagine when God decided to settle him, he changed his story completely.
Yes.
This wasn't just your wife having a baby after a prolonged period of time, but somebody that was at minus 42.
Naira.
That's he's owing the bank.
Spend it. Yes.
He's owing the bank.
Yes.
Someone that's at minus 42
Deficit.
in 5 months relocates to London, has a baby in London, buys a house in London. 10 years compressed in 5 months.
You know when the Bible is
Hey,
talking about,
God.
I will restore the years
Oh my
that the
God.
locusts and cankerworms have taken. This is a pure
Oh my
restoration.
God. God, this is
God has won.
restoration.
Yes, with
Yeah,
compensation.
Oh, Shada
With compensation.
Batosia. My
Because he
God.
was carrying his baby.
That's
Everything. The evidence is
wonder
overwhelming.
he was so
With
sick.
My
the house,
goodness.
everything.
My goodness, not
Wow,
just after
wow.
5 miscarriages,
Yes.
he carries a
He
baby.
carries a baby.
And the baby he named London.
London.
Born in London. New clothes. New
Everything
everything.
is
New everything.
They
Oh
don't have
my
to borrow
God.
money for that.
Fullness
You
of
know, I
joy.
love this God.
Yes.
When God is restoring, He does not just restore partially.
It does
You know,
not.
yeah, you can ask God
He
for one
gives you
thing,
the
and
whole-
He
and
gives
He'll give you the whole
a complete
package.
package.
My
Multiply
goodness.
A complete package.
That's
That
right.
is how
That's
God
right.
works.
That's
I
how
love
it
this
is.
God. He's
That's
awesome.
You
how
know, Jesus
God
would say
works.
many times in the Bible, go so that your joy may be full.
That's
It's not
right.
half measure, no half measure.
half measures.
He's not going to give you a baby and you're struggling to buy Cerelac, struggling to buy diapers, struggling to buy. His joy
His joy
was
is
full,
complete.
complete,
Was
nothing
complete.
missing,
Gave
nothing
him a full
missing.
package.
My goodness, this is God.
Yes.
This can only be God.
Can
What
only be
God
God.
cannot do does not exist. What mind-blowing
Oh my God.
testimonies. What
This is
mind-blowing
amazing.
testimonies. And our third testifier is testifying all the way from Italy. And God healed her and her mother from syndrome de Liel and ulcerative colitis. I mean, these testimonies will blow your mind. Have you clicked on the share button? Click on the share button and be a blessing to someone else. We'll be right back after these testimonies.
Praise the Lord. What God cannot do does not exist. What God cannot do does not exist. I'm that woman that God has showed mercy. These links, they have been sending it to me always. I never responded. I never even cared. They even want people not to. If you ever send me this link, I block you. Not until my mother died. When I say died, he died. It's not fake. He wasn't sick. Only they gave him a medicine they called allospirinol. That allospirinol, I don't know what happened. The thing reacted to chemical reaction. Chemical reaction to the extent that as if somebody poured a coal of fire upon his head to toast. He was decaying alive. And in the morning, that happened on the 16th of April. I saw my mother, the skin everywhere was, that is something, the smell was terrible. Then I have to call my son. We call the doctor. And when they get there, seeing my mom, they told me, somebody who came to the distance, less than 1 hour, they told me, Madam, we are sorry, your mother cannot make it anymore. The medicine they gave to her now, the medicine gave her syndrome in the lion. That is a syndrome I think it's like the syndrome in the lie. I don't know how they call it, syndrome in the lie. So now she's 80 years, so how do you think she will survive? She's a diabetic client and a patient, so it's not possible. As we are still talking, it's not even more than 5 minutes. The doctors that is in convoy, they now came. Is anyone with me? And all the. As I was looking, I saw them with my mother dress, telephone, pants. They said they are sorry. Nothing can be done. She's gone, so we have to wait for 24 hours. My dear, I was dumbfounded. I have to call my sisters in Nigeria. You know, when they are talking, when I'm trying to explain to them, they say it's not possible. I say, these people are not even understanding. Somebody is declared dead, and you know, as the law, you have to wait 24 hours. So what can be? What are we talking about? This is how my sister said. Oh, even the churches are. We have to enter the. Let's move to the link. Pastor Jerry Eze, let's pray. I say, because I cannot even open my mouth to pray. I have never seen this in my life. And that is how I came in contact with NSPPD prayer online. I was number 1. Even the night doesn't even come. Even I can't wait for morning. I go back there. Could you believe? Before we know it, on that 16th of April, under 1 hour, my mother came back to life. When he came back to life, already they have bandaged her. Everything was bandaged. There is nothing, because there is no skin, no clothes. So from there, they say that they hear her shouting. And this is what keeps the doctors that, okay, if that's the case, we are going to fly her to another part of Italy. Even he survived the death part. Under 3 days, she's going to die. That thing will decay. It will be decaying after 3 days. Whether she burst or I don't know. So They were just laughing at me. I said, okay, if there's anything, send her. What it will cost me, let it cost me. That's how they sent her there. After 3 days, all my children, they came back and they were like, Mommy, don't be so forward. I said, no. The way I see them saying what God cannot do does not exist, I believe that Mama will come and they say, Mama, well, this your prayers and everything. We are saying, let's wait for 3 days. I said, she's coming out. And Mama came out. After 3 days, from nowhere, the sickness was arrested. And I continue singing Papa, praying for all those ones that are their mom, that is, they are sick in sick bed, and I always claim in any prayer, even anyone he pray, I claim. Mama came back to life. See Mama now, see the process from bandage. They remove her. They said that even after the 3 days the sickness stopped. For her body to come back is 3 months or between 3 months to 6 months. Ask any doctor. And it will give her a damage. But could you believe that under 10 days, constant prayer with NSPPD prayer, Mama came back as nothing happened. What God cannot do does not exist. See Mama now. And let me show you Mama physically. Live. See her. Mama, what do you say?
What God cannot do
does not exist. She's 80 years. Thank you so much. And my second testimony goes like this. For the past 27 years, I've been suffering from this sickness called ulcerative colitis. So it's an intestine problem. I have a serious wound that I at times there is what I can't fast, I can't any little thing I start bleeding like anything. And there was a day Papa mentioned between this month, he said, I don't know, blood was just coming out of you, but you don't have wound and the rest of them. And I key in, and it's among the prayers my congratulation letter. And guess what? In that congratulation letter I wrote, I said, Father, I want a new organ, that new brown one. I don't want to see this sickness. And Papa declared 10 days of fasting since I was born. I can't, because of that sickness, I cannot fast. Under 1 hour, if I don't eat, it is like somebody is eating the intestine. I was bleeding. That 10 days, for the first time, I was able to do that 10 days fasting. 10 days fasting, 6 to 6. It was terrible. Even on the last day, even between the week, I was bleeding blood. I never stopped. After the fasting, the next day, I went to go and do my test. Guess what? Everything was perfect. I was healed completely after 27 years. Who said that this God does not exist? In fact, I decided to do this video. I'm one of those who doesn't believe in all these things, but I decided to tell you that God is there. I thank the whole NSPPD crew, Pastor Jerry. I thank you for even bringing back my spiritual way. That is the way I pray now, the way I see God. I'm not alone. I can see that God is doing things, mighty things. I thank every one of you that have chosen this call, that have chosen this race, that has chosen this cross to take to the next level. May God bless every one of you. And I say once again, what God cannot do does not exist. Bye.
Yeah, this is wonderful.
Hallelujah.
Glory be to God.
Oh my
God. This is God at work.
Oh my
Wonderful,
God.
unbelievable testimonies.
Unbelievable.
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 Oh my God.
Wow. Where do we
Wow.
begin? Her mother wasn't sick and was giving anosprinol. What's the medication?
Allopurinol.
Okay,
It's
and
a
then
medication that they use to treat either gout or some kidney stones.
right.
So she must have had, I heard that she was diabetic.
Yes,
So she could have had some kind of kidney stones, or maybe she had gout, you know. So
yes,
she
so it's
was
a routine medication.
Yes, it's a medication
Right.
you take, you know. And,
But for whatever reason, why did she, if it was a medication she was taking all the time, why the sudden reaction?
because of, you know, the other medications. Remember, they have given her allopurinol.
Yes.
And then there must have been other medications and other treatment that she was getting.
right.
And another thing that could have happened is that she already have an autoimmune disease.
Right.
Or her body, you know, has a hyper, you know, activity or reaction, an
Right.
allergic reaction. So what happened in that case is that all that immune, you know, we call it idiosyncratic reaction, allergic reaction. So that goes and it throws it like fire.
You know,
just necrotizing skin, it just
I have not
keep going
seen
on and on
a
and
reaction
on.
so severe. I mean, would you look at that decomposing? I have
That's
not
correct.
seen
That's correct.
something so severe.
It
What is this
is.
condition?
It
Lionel syndrome de Leal. What
It's
is that?
actually called Lear syndrome.
Lear
So
syndrome.
because of where she had it,
Italy,
they
she's in
just
Italy.
okay, very good. That's why they had the D in it. Other than that, is actually Lear syndrome. And when they say syndrome, that means a lot of things going on. It's just
Right.
like I said, it was idiosyncratic, and we don't really know exactly what is happening, but it's just some kind of reaction, and it doesn't
In her
happen that
body.
often. That's correct. Her body is rejecting it and just throwing.
And then her
a
skin
fist.
is decomposing and smelling.
That is correct.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
That's why in English they can also call it toxic epidema
That's right,
necrolysis.
necrolysis.
Yes.
That
So
thing,
that's-
that is very correct.
The skin is just,
It's just
going.
Decomposing on its own.
decomposing.
And there's nothing you can do to
Yes,
stop it.
That's they have treatments, basically. But at that time, when you're doing the treatment, there's chances that it can get worse.
Right.
That her organs can actually start failing and so many things, because this body is septic. She can go into sepsis.
Yes.
And if she goes into sepsis, she can go into a shock, and that means she's not going to make it. So the chances of her not surviving
Right.
is more.
Right. Right.
Staring at her face.
Okay.
So the treatment, when they start treating, they just use all kinds of. They treat it like a burn.
Yes.
Case, and it's done in the ICU, so intensive care unit. So it's telling you that there's a lot going on there. So the specialists, they all have to be on guard and to make sure that the treatment is done.
Would you say that her age and the fact that she's diabetic contributed to the severity of the condition?
No, that could actually happen,
Right.
from ages from 40 and all that stuff. As if you have an autoimmune, just like I said, if you have that inside you, you already have where your immune system is trying to attack so many things, that it sees as an invader, so, and one little thing, it just throws off that allergic reaction. So that's just what happened at this point. So her age and diabetes, doesn't really have much to do with
Right.
this, but just that, history.
Yes.
A
team of doctors declared her dead. I don't understand. What does it mean to be dead? Is being dead in Italy different from being dead in Nigeria? Because, she was dead and she was still placed under observation. What does it mean to be dead?
Okay, well, what I think that is going on here, because probably she doesn't know the terminologies, if she was brain dead, then you can observe,
Okay.
because when
Okay.
somebody's brain dead, the organs are still functioning.
Right.
And in that way,
Right.
sometimes they keep them to ask you if you want to donate the organs, and then they can harvest the organs. But if you don't want to, psychologically, it helps you to go through the grief than just telling you, oh, she's dead. They will just, let's harvest the organ. So they might say, let's wait for another 24 hours
yes.
to see what happens,
Makalia
So
do
in
shadata.
24, it gives you time to get it into
I
your
know.
head that she's gone,
Right.
and you're able to say,
Right.
okay, let's pull the plug or whatever.
So 24 hours. They decided to go and pray. For the same person that has been rejecting the NSPPD link, and 24 hours, they decided to go and pray. And 1 hour into prayer,
Prayers.
the mother was heard shouting. Shouting. So even if she was brain dead, is that how people just come
It's a
out?
miracle.
My goodness.
Suddenly.
Hey,
The
Kalada
God of
Baliata.
suddenly.
My God.
The God of NSPPD.
My
That's
God.
right.
And then the
That's
doctor
right.
said, even if she's to wake up, even if, at this point she's alive,
Yes.
and then they said they were still giving her 3 days to live because she was still decomposing.
That's correct.
So
because
she was
still-
continuing to decompose,
That's-
and nothing could be done about it.
They are already doing what they can,
what
but
they-
the way her body will react to it is what the question is. Would her body take it? Is she going to go into a failure, organ failure, that then sepsis and pneumonia, all of those things that comes in with it, and she could slip into a coma.
Yes.
So the odds, was against all odds.
3 days later, all of a sudden, Leal syndrome was
Was just
arrested.
gone. That's
Arrested.
correct.
Arrested.
That's correct.
3 to 6 months recovery. In 10 days, she looks like
She
nothing
looks
happened.
like nothing happened. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
My God.
Awesome. It's
Awesome.
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 And then we see her herself, a testifier. She talked about having What's the name?
Ulcerative
Ulcerative colitis. What exactly is that?
Okay,
A severe wound, she called it.
Yes, ulcerative colitis, is a form of inflammatory bowel disease.
Right.
So now you have Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. It's an
Okay.
inflammatory condition that usually affects the large intestines.
Okay.
So when patients have this condition, they present with a variety of symptoms.
Right.
Including some of the things she talked about. You can have a diarrhea. You could have abdominal cramps. You could be bleeding. React to certain foods. Some of them you keep some diets away from them. So those are the problems this lady was facing.
Dr. Paul, 27
27
years.
27 years.
27
my
years.
God. Oh my God.
Are you saying there's no cure? It seems like a severe ulcer of some sort.
Ulcerative colitis.
Is a severe
These inflammatory
ulcer.
conditions, they don't have a cure.
Yes.
Ulcerative colitis at some point can go into some remission, and then after some time it shows up
back.
again.
That's right.
But for you to just have a complete cure, just like that, suddenly, it's not something that
Mostly we
that
treat
happens.
the symptoms.
Right,
You know,
right.
Basically, that's what they treat.
Yeah.
And you know, also with the mother's case, I think there's some kind of genetic autoimmune
Right.
system, that's
It's
disease that's going on.
Right.
Because with the ulcerative colitis, it's actually also your body telling you that those things are not supposed to. It's the same thing. It act like it's an invader.
Let me
so
get
they
this
start
right.
to attack the intestine, they see food, they attack it thinking, they see water you drink, they attack it thinking it's a foreign body or some kind of invader. And in that way, they come to ulcerate the lining of the colon.
Right.
So it's starting from the end to all the way to,
Would you say there's a connection between this ulcerative colitis and then her mom's sickness as well?
I'm thinking because in the family they do have some kind of autoimmune disease. I don't
Yes,
know if she has
because they're both
lupus or she has systemic, all those things that are autoimmune. So she didn't tell us everything.
didn't
but
tell us.
from the history.
From the
you
history,
can tell
there's some
that
connection.
An autoimmune,
Right,
disease,
right.
dysfunction that's
So
going on.
for the first time in her life, she went on a fast.
Yes.
For the first time in her life.
I
You
love
know,
I
media
love woman's
fast.
faith.
I
love
know,
woman's faith.
because I don't know how you can fast.
Yeah,
with
even
that
with
kind
the
of
faith,
condition.
she was still having the symptoms.
Yep.
You know, she
but
said she was
kept
eating
on.
kept on.
hourly. She
Yes.
was eating hourly. So to embark on someone that can't go an hour without
That's
eating,
right.
to embark on a 10-day fast.
Stay fast.
Yes.
Even with the symptoms,
Yes.
when the Bible says against hope, believing
Yes,
hope.
yes,
she
yes,
was
yes.
still believing and having
Right.
faith that her problems was going to come
Yeah.
to an end.
That's
This was
right.
very wonderful.
And then
amazing.
out of the fast, she goes straight for a test. She goes straight for a test, and she's
usually,
told her system is perfect.
Yeah, usually for things like ulcerative colitis, I'm sure the symptoms were abating.
Right.
And now, usually, you look into the colon to look out for those things. What we call colonoscopy. With a special
Right.
camera, you just look through, and she didn't tell us exactly what they
Yes,
did.
she
but
didn't
it's
tell
likely
us.
they did a colonoscopy,
Probably to
looked
confirm, that it's no longer there, because you can see those
they're not there.
ulcers when you look into
Yes,
the colon.
you see
So
them.
if it has gone, that means it has healed.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's really interesting.
Oh my, what are
God
we
has
hearing on the altar of fire? I mean,
God
what
has
are
won.
we hearing here?
Yes,
We are talking about a woman that was brain dead.
Yes.
Brain dead, back to life. Her grave clothes. This reminds me of Lazarus. This reminds me of, yes, this reminds me of the story of Lazarus.
Those are grave clothes.
Grave
kind of.
clothes, grave
They-
clothes.
They,
Take
they
off
are
your grave
actually the
clothes.
dressings
Yes.
that we are using for the
Treatment,
necrotizing
The
facility that she was having.
necrolysis, that
Yes,
is correct.
because
The
she
body
was
that's
having this
already
wound almost all
over.
through her body,
Oozing. She just
including her
oozing
head.
fluids,
Yes,
and her
so,
mouth
so dressings
everywhere.
was all over her
That's
body
right.
as a form of
Yes,
treatment.
it's a form of
Of course,
treatment,
because
so
if
they
they
have
don't
to
dress
wrap
those
it.
things,
Yes.
she will die from sepsis,
That's
infection,
correct. That's
overwhelming
correct.
body infections
That's
to just
correct.
kill her off.
That's correct.
And she's out of her grave clothes.
I'm
No
not-
scarring.
Without no
No
scars.
scarring. In 10
Amazing,
days. I mean, look at Mama's picture.
amazing.
Looking
Yes.
amazing, looking beautiful, like
Amazing,
nothing
like
happened.
nothing
And then we
really
have
happened.
her daughter as well, 27 years.
Right.
7 years cannot just go that way.
27
It doesn't happen.
years.
It doesn't just happen.
Seriously.
My
Something that somebody has been having
goodness.
for 27 years.
27 many
by
years?
virtue of holding on to God,
Mala
fasting,
dabrado
coming on the altar of
sha.
fire,
Yes.
and everything.
This is
There's
God.
there's no
Yes,
way
right.
you can explain it away in any form or shape. Even if you're talking about remission of ulcerative colitis,
Yes.
what kind of coincidence is
Yes,
that?
yes,
No,
yes.
no, no, no.
That's
This
right.
is God
That's
at
right.
work.
This is
God
God
at
at
work.
work.
God at
This
work.
is God
And they
at
said that
work.
they've
God
checked.
at work.
They've checked
They
and
said-
they
she
didn't
said
see
they
anything.
checked.
My
They said
God.
it's gone. So it was not remission.
Yeah.
Because they say they checked.
They
checked.
Yeah, yes.
So they
So
did
it
what
is
is
not
required
remission.
to
It is
do.
gone. It
That's
is
right.
gone.
Yes.
That's
My
right. That's
God,
right.
this can only
That's
be
right.
God.
Can only be God.
This can only be God.
Can
To
only
him
be.
be all the glory. What he
Amen,
cannot
amen,
do
amen.
does not exist. Does not exist. Wow. Wow, wow. Are you listening to these testimonies? Mind blowing. Mind blowing. God is awesome. God is awesome. We're about to step into our final testimony for today. But have you clicked on the share button? Believe me, someone is going to be blessed by this. Go ahead and click on the share button if you are yet to. Our final testimony comes from a testifier all the way from London, United Kingdom, testifying about a hyperthyroidism healing. Watch this. This testimony will blow your mind. We'll be right back.
What God cannot do does not exist. I'm here to give my testimony. To God alone be all the glory. God has showed me mercy. Pastor Jerry, I'm a widow that lost my husband last year, August 20. We were about to celebrate our children's 18 and 21 birthday. We went shopping. Then my husband suffered cardiac arrest and died in my hands at a shopping mall. It has been from one challenge to another. People who were there for mocked me, made fun out of it, even to the extent of saying, every time she'll be saying, baby, baby, now welcome to the club of being single. And it didn't stop there. The enemy started striking. On the 6th of July 2022, I was told I have to do an emergency surgery. I was having overactive thyroid, which came with vengeance. On that fateful morning, Wednesday, the 16th of July 2022, as I logged in 2 minutes approximately, you said, somebody, you just logged in. You just log in. I don't know why I'm saying it, but this, you just log in. You will not be buried, and you will not bury anyone. What they have planned in 24 hours, it will not stand. You will not be buried, and you will not bury anyone. You repeated it, and I said, amen. I joined this platform through my adopted mom last year, September, when my husband died. I'm doing this video from London, United Kingdom. Pastor Jerry, that fateful day, my admission was 7:30 in the morning. Doctors came, they informed me about everything, the procedures, and I was taken to the theater at 9 o'clock. When we got there, they were fixing cannulas in my hands. And one of the surgeons, it was two of them, he said, let's fill this woman up with oxygen. And the other one was like, why? He said, oh, the heart rate, I'm not satisfied with it. And they gave me oxygen for 15 minutes. The last I remembered was 9:15, when they now told me, we're going to give you anesthetic and you will sleep. And that was it. I didn't wake up till 2:40 on that same very day, 6th of July. I woke up at 2:40 in the afternoon, and I saw doctors around me. I had oxygen on me, and I said, what happened? They said, oh, the surgery took 1 hour 30 minutes. But whilst we were stitching you outside, you stopped breathing twice, and we have to resuscitate you. We don't know why it happened. So they left me in the recovery room, and I told them, in the midst of them doing that surgery, I was dreaming. I was on prayer group. We were praying. Our pastor was like, you have choice to choose between life and death. I had an encounter of death 2015. and the death could not take over me. So God gave us choice, make a choice. That was what the preaching was about. And we shared communion. I said the grace. Immediately we said the grace, I opened my eyes, and also the doctors. And they said, we have been struggling with you. And I raised my hands up. I said, God, I give you all the glory. I'm a widow of 3 children. My youngest is 8. For you have seen me through. Around 5 that day, they left me in the recovery because they were still monitoring me on very high oxygen. They took me to the ward. I got to the ward, my children came. Cousins, family members came, and then they asked me to try and drink and eat. I had the first food. I started coughing. I drank water, and it went through the wrong pipe. And I was choking again. Everybody was running helter-skelter. They tried. With the help of God, I was stabilized. Around 8:40 p.m. that same night, 6th of July 2022, everybody has gone. My last family member just left 10 minutes after. I started feeling severe pain in my neck. I didn't have a call bell by my side for some reason. In the ward where I was, there was 4 women. We were all in there. And the woman opposite me saw me struggling and called the nurse's attention for me. She came. I said, the pain I'm feeling is different. Call the doctors for me. And that one said, I'll get you morphine, don't worry. She went, she took longer. She came back. I said, this pain is severe. Don't give me anything. Call the doctors. It's like my airways is closing. I could feel like something is strangling me to death. Call the doctors. And the lady left. Then I started struggling. I was kicking my feet, hitting the table, fighting to leave. By then my neck has swollen twice the size. I just heard the other ladies opposite me saying, I've gone black, don't let her die. Then blood started gushing out from my stitches. And then a doctor came. There was a scissors next to me. She picked up that scissors and called her bleep. Her colleague came, she rushed in. By then I can't talk anymore. And they said, you have minutes to live. We have to be brutal. You're too young to die. And they took a knife and just opened me up without anesthetic or anything. They started digging the blood clot at time. My neck has gone twice size. Clearing my airways, clearing with their hands. That was how I was able to breathe. And they put me on high oxygen, left my throat open, and went to call doctors to take me back. And then the doctors that did my operation have gone home. So by the time the doctor was doing all of that, she was checking the monitor where she was sitting at the nurse's station. And she just came back to me. By then I was alone, and I saw that I've started struggling again to breathe, not knowing clots were forming inside again. And she called my name, I could not answer. She said, you're having clots and bleeding inside again. I have to clear you again. And she did with her hands, cleared my throat again, and she said, we need to take you urgently. And they took me to the theater and called doctors to come. They came, 6 of them. I didn't remember anything again till 3:30 in the morning. They brought me back to the ward. I was there, coping. Then the following Saturday, they did my surgery. Wednesday, the 6th, Thursday, the 7th, Friday, the 8th, Saturday, the 9th. I was weak, and they said, you can go home. My son was like, Mommy, you don't look okay, don't go home. And the doctors were like, we've done all the tests, everything seems fine. You can manage from home whilst we monitor. If anything, you can come back. Reluctantly, I came home. I got to my house. I can't walk from one point to another. They need to hold my hands, no strength. I couldn't climb stairs. I couldn't go to the toilet by myself. My boys were looking after me. And then on Sunday, my neck started getting swollen again. I came home Saturday. Sunday, pain was so severe. My oldest son called the doctors and they said she need to come. They took me in. It was late on Sunday, they called. So Monday morning, I went. I was admitted again. In fact, that day was so bad. My oldest son stood by me from 1 in the afternoon on Monday. We got there from 1, in fact, 10 to 1 in the afternoon till Tuesday the 12th at 4 in the afternoon, standing next to his mom while his doctors are doing their best. And then I got readmitted. I stayed in the hospital. By Wednesday, the doctors told me that it will take 6 months for anybody to hear you talk, minimum of 6 months. And then they said on Thursday, they'll be coming to drain my throat again at 10:30 in the morning. Thursday the 14th, 4:30 a.m. in the morning. I decided to watch NSPPD Healing Night while sleeping, and I put my earpod on. As I was listening to it, I slept off. And when I slept off, I had a dream. In that dream, I saw 3 doctors. They came into my bay, and one position on the left, one position on my right side, and one down on my feet side. And then the one on my left was opening my neck, and then the one on the right was picking out. There is this thing we women use to pluck out our eyelashes. They were using it to pick out broken bottles from my throat. And the one on the right was picking them out, put them on the table next to me, and then he separated them in 3 places as 5, 5, 5, and he counted. It was 15. And the one on the left said, "It is finished." Then the one on my feet side said, "She's been made whole. Let's go to the next patient." And they left. I was just smiling as they were going. And then, as soon as that encounter left, the angels of God left me. I just leaped up from my bed. It was a nurse coming to check my blood pressure, because every day they do ECG on me. Since January, my heart rate has never been less than 110. So they monitor me regularly. I do ECG every day. So she came, she checked, and my heart rate for the first time was 67. And I'm like, "Oh, 67, do it again." She did in my other arm, and it was 67. I'm like, "Wow, God, it can only be you." And she left. Then I stood up. I felt that when I turn my head, I don't turn my whole body anymore. I don't feel pain when I move my head. Then I felt my neck, and I couldn't feel the fluids anymore. So I stood up and I went to the toilet. I checked myself. All the swollen has gone. All the swollen has gone. All the bruises that were on my neck, when they opened me up, everything has disappeared. I was so shocked. I came back to bed, and it was 7 o'clock to join morning prayers. Then I put my earpod on. Whilst I was listening to prayers, I don't know how I slept off. It was in that sleep the doctors came in reality, and they touched me. They said, "Celia, we're here for you. We're here. We brought another specialist from King's College to come and check so that we know how we're going to extract these fluids." And the man came close to me, touched my neck, and saw that there was nothing. And he said, "There is no more fluids. There is nothing to be drained." And they looked at me and said, "What did you do overnight?" And I said, "My God was here before you guys." And they said, "There's nothing we can do for you. You can go home. Look at even your voice. You're talking and we can hear you. But just yesterday, the 13th of July, 2022, you talk, no one hears." Me, they gave 6 months for somebody to hear me talk. This is me sharing my testimony to the world today. My God has showed me mercy. My God has kept me alive for my children. He has showed me and my children mercy. I want to thank every NSPPDian, Pastor Jerry, your wife, the whole team, all the pastors, every single one of NSPPD. I salute you. I want to give all glory to God. My life, I can talk, people can hear me. I can walk, I can go everywhere in the house. I can turn my head. No restriction, no pain. All because of God. To Him alone be all the glory. I've told my children, I will share my testimony to my generation born and yet unborn. They should talk about what God did for us, for what God cannot do does not exist.
God! Hallelujah!
wonderful.
God.
This is God.
Glory to God.
What
This is
is
God.
this?
What is this, Dr. Paul? What is this?
Tell me something.
What is
What
this?
is this?
What is this
Oh
now?
my
Oh
God.
my God.
Oh
This
my
is
God.
God at work.
Oh my God.
This is what about
A lot of strange
I
acts.
mean,
all put
coupled
together in this
in
woman.
one
A lot
testimony.
of strange
I mean, where
all
do you
put
begin?
together in this woman.
Where do
If you see the things
begin?
I'm seeing in between,
Yes,
oh my
yes.
God.
I don't even know where to
Yes.
begin,
Oh my God.
sincerely, but the devil is a bastard. That's the starting point.
That's
The
it,
devil
that's
is
it.
a bastard.
From the
Real
husband.
bastard.
Now, this woman lost her husband last year. You can imagine, last year, August, she lost her husband at a moment of celebration. You know, they were
Yes.
preparing for her children's 18th birthday, 20th birthday. Then they go out shopping, and in the shopping mall, the husband slumps and dies in her arms. Tragic, tragic loss. And then 1 year later, she's struggling for her life. 1 year later, she was rushed for an emergency surgery. She said she had hyperthyroidism. Tell me about this condition.
Hyperthyroidism, it is a disease that that has to do with the thyroid.
Right.
Thyroid is like, it's a butterfly-shaped organ just in front of the neck.
Right.
Yeah, usually you don't notice it.
Okay.
But when the thyroid starts getting big, you can start noticing it. So she's talking about hyperthyroidism. Usually, even when in some patients, when it's not yet even getting big, you can start having symptoms. See things like patient is becoming restless, the heart rate is increasing, he's becoming aware of the heart rate, what you call palpitations. You have things like anxiety, you have things like excessive sweating. Even when other people are feeling cold, the person is feeling hot.
Right.
You know, so things like that, there's increase in metabolic rate.
Right.
So all these things, you just be seeing them in the patient.
Would you say this is a fatal condition?
Hyperthyroidism is quite disturbing.
Right.
It can be quite disturbing. There are a number of them. When you talk about hyperthyroidism, you have the one they call Graves' disease. You know, where you just see that swelling. You have the what you call toxic nodules. You can have thyroiditis.
Right.
You can have the benign adenomas. You know,
Right.
quite a number of them.
Right.
You know, yeah.
So she was rushed in for a surgery,
Yes.
and she died 2 times. They said, you know, she lost her breath 2 times
Yes.
in the course of that
Because
surgery. And then after the surgery, in the course of, you know, recovery, she also had blood clots rupture. I don't really understand what she was talking about, but she said the nurse tore her neck open. I can't miss that one because that's quite gory. They opened up her neck with a knife. You know, her airways was collapsing. They opened it up to scoop up blood clots. What's going on here, Dr. Paul?
You know, after surgeries, some people can have complications after surgery.
Right.
And for thyroidectomy is removal of the thyroid. That's one of the things that can happen where you have what we call hematoma. So this woman had accumulation of blood.
Right.
With blood clots around the area of the surgery. And you know, the windpipe, the trachea that carries air is there. You know, so that accumulation of blood clots in that tight space is kind of strangulating. It was compressing the airways. So that's why she said that she was literally feeling like somebody that was being
She had
strangulated.
minutes to live.
Yes, and so that's why in that circumstance, if they leave her any longer,
She'll die.
she should just
So
she
you
should just
open
die.
it up on
So
your bare
that's why they
hands.
had to open up, release the stitches,
Oh
so that
my
the pressure
goodness.
on the airways can be released
Yes,
immediately.
yes. She did say blood was bursting
Yes.
out of the
That's
stitches.
Yes.
Wow.
And
And you know,
the site of the surgery.
Yes.
That's correct.
yes.
So they
And you
had
know,
to
after she
release
was
it.
discharged, you know, she was readmitted again. They said fluid had gathered
Come back
again.
again,
What is that? What's going on? Is it blood again?
It's the same
It's the
procedure,
same
it's the same complications because she already have some issue going on.
Mm.
Thyroid is already too hyperactive. So everything that's happening to her, the bleeding, the blood, and everything is just hyperactive, you know. So everything is all happening at the same time.
So
Now,
this woman now, you can see that she had this bleeding.
Right.
She was taken to the theater.
Yes.
I'm sure in the process of taking her to the theater that they must have, you know, if you have some obvious bleeding vessels still remaining, they must have controlled those bleeding vessels. And now taking her back to the ward and now assured her before asking her to go back home that everything is fine. Now she gets back home and she started having these symptoms coming back again.
right.
You know, I remember at the point they even had to call in
The specialist.
yes,
To come
another
evaluate.
surgeon from some other place to come and evaluate why are these things happening. You know, another thing can I even think of in this woman is possible she's having some bleeding disorders that is making this, even despite all the controls, it is still coming again.
You know, from
That's
every
looking at
indication.
it, looking at it
Right.
from the physical point of view.
Okay, from this.
Because I'm going somewhere.
Okay. You know, from every indication, this woman is a miracle she's alive.
Yes.
From her life was hanging
Every
by a word.
indication.
It was hanging by a word. A word had gone ahead of her. You know, she said that morning of the surgery, Papa had declared, just as she got on the live screen, Papa had declared that, you know, the plan against your life won't hold in 24, the plan against your life for you to die in 24 hours won't hold, you know, and, you know, she claimed those words going into surgery, and she went into surgery, and you could see against all odds, all the complications that arose, she is still standing. You know, she said she fell asleep while watching NSPPD.
That's right. That's
And then
another one.
3 men walked into the room.
Yes.
Kaya la to shatata.
And-
Hey,
That's
God.
amazing.
Malatia to
you have
sha.
those-
This is amazing.
You know those things. He said that they were like
They were
this.
removing
Yeah,
stones.
they were
I call them
picking-
demonic deposits.
Yes, that's what they were.
I call them demonic deposits.
Yes,
and
yes.
I will, like our Papa will always say, the spiritual
Yes,
controls the
yes,
physical.
yes,
The
yes.
spiritual controls
Yes,
the physical.
right.
The Papa will always
Yes.
say, you know, even if you think it's physical,
Yes.
pray. Just keep
Pray.
praying about
Yes.
it. You never can tell.
You
no
know,
matter how physical
doctors
it
are
looks.
treating in the physical.
Yes.
They're
That's
stitching,
right.
they're
That
pulling
is
out blood
correct.
clots.
Yes.
And angels came to
And
remove
that's
things.
correct.
Kalabrato
They're
sha.
perfecting
Hey!
everything.
Everything.
They're
You know,
perfecting it.
this woman
You
without
know?
divine intervention was
That's
not going
right.
to
They were-
survive.
they were
because
perfecting
because
it.
the doctors, of course, they are specialists in that hospital.
Right.
right.
They've gotten to the end of the road.
That's
That
right.
was why they now called in another specialist.
Yes.
Come and see what we are seeing here.
Yes,
We've done all we
yes,
could,
yes,
and we are not making any headway.
That's right.
Why is this woman bleeding and bleeding again,
and
having this
that's-
compression and compression
And
again?
she stopped. She couldn't even talk.
She couldn't
lost
talk.
her
Yes,
voice
yes.
at a point.
She lost her voice. She lost her voice
because
at the
they
end.
must have damaged some nerves
Yes,
or
yes.
something.
You have the
during
recurrent
process.
laryngeal nerves
That's correct.
and some other nerves that
During
are
the
there
surgery,
that can be
that's
damaged.
It's
right.
like you're trying to patch one here.
That's
Something
right.
is
And
spoiling
something-
you
over
have the
there.
recurrent
Licking.
laryngeal
I mean,
nerves.
that's the best that
right.
man can do.
That's right.
That's the best that
That's
man
right.
can do. But when God heals,
That's
he
right.
heals
He
completely.
perfects everything.
He heals
He
completely.
does. He
My
perfects
God.
So
everything.
those nerves that are there, even during surgery, you have to be very careful
Right.
so that they don't damage them.
That's
Because
right.
if you damage them, the patient can even lose his or her voice for life.
That's right.
You know, she was
So in the process of going to theater, coming back, and then
Yes.
struggling to
Yes.
save this woman's life,
right.
it's possible that she must have gotten some damages on
That's
these nerves,
right.
and that's why
That's right.
she was not able to talk.
That's
and they
right.
told her that she would need that at least 6 months.
That's right.
The word is at
And the
least
word-
at least
6
Came
months.
back.
at least
Yes.
because she can go 2 years, 3 years,
right.
or even
Mala.
forever without even talking again. You know,
go
but God
3
was
years.
Yes.
of course, because the nerves must have had some issues.
That's
That was
right.
why they were telling her that
It
at
was-
least she needs
some
some
of
6
them was
months
damaged.
for her to
That's
start
for it
talking
to
again.
reveal.
And
That's
then
right.
you are looking at it after what the angels
Yes.
did on
Her and
her.
her. That's what I mean. They were
After
perfecting the
what
whole
the-
work.
after what the angels did on her.
Like you said, the
Everything
demonic
turned around.
deposit, they came and
Yes.
they picked it
They
all
picked it
out
up,
with
you
that
understand?
tweezer.
Of course, without removing those demonic deposits.
I mean,
There's no way she could have recovered.
I mean,
There's
you
no
are the
way.
experts.
There's
You all
no
are
way.
the experts.
There's no
How
way.
does this happen? A woman is checked in at night, fluid in her throat. She
Yes.
can't talk.
Can't talk.
And then you come back in the morning, and then swollenness gone, bruising gone. She can turn her neck, and she can talk.
She can talk.
What
That's
happened
right.
overnight?
With the neck, with the damage to the nerves and everything.
Everything gone.
Everything just gone.
What happened overnight?
Oh my God, God at all.
What
at
happened
work.
It is
overnight?
God.
God at work.
Overnight.
A lot
God
of
at
strange
work.
acts of
Overnight.
God here.
That's right.
Oh my
Mala
God, I give you
tabrato
God the
sha.
praise. Thank you, Jesus.
Hey,
Thank you,
God
Jesus.
of the fire altar.
Oh my God.
My
Yes.
goodness.
Amazing
This is
work of God.
amazing.
Amazing.
This is
Amazing work of God.
amazing.
There's
Oh
it's not
my
even of
God.
amazing.
Awesome.
Even before
He
surgery,
is
she was
awesome.
almost, she
Yes.
passed on. You know,
Yes.
some of them have what you call that thyroid storm.
That's
You know,
right.
they,
And
before
that's an
surgery,
emergency
they give them a lot of
crisis.
we give them a
That's
lot of
right.
antithyroid drugs to
Drugs.
calm the situation down.
Right.
Yes.
So this woman, even at the point of surgery, all these thyroid hormones
Yes.
were still pushing.
Hey!
That's right. That's right.
But God, at every point in time, despite what the devil
there.
came to do, because the
Hanging
devil that
by
took the
a word.
husband
That's right.
was
Hanging
really
by
after
a
her.
word.
The devil was
Hanging
really
by
trying
That
on
same,
her.
that same thing that
He
happened
was
that,
really
that,
trying
that,
on her.
that took her
That's
husband
right.
away.
Husband.
She was
That's
there.
right.
He
Yes,
was,
that's
the
right.
devil
Yes.
was
That's
bent
right.
on
That's
making sure
Oh
that this
my
woman lives.
goodness.
Ah,
My God. What have we heard today? These testimonies are mind blowing. These testimonies
chilling.
are
As in,
mind blowing.
I just-
My goodness, our first testifier, we saw Mr. Toby from the
Yes.
United Kingdom. Miracle baby, baby London. That's what he
Baby
called her.
London.
Baby London.
With
Oh my God.
restoration.
With restoration.
10 years.
10 years.
Compressed into
10
5
years.
months.
Compressed.
10 years.
Kaya
months.
lata bata. You know, we make those prayers all the time. 10 years in 1 year. 10 years in 1 year. I mean, this was 10 years in 5 months.
Yes.
Someone went from minus 42 naira
To spending over 10
to
million.
spending
to,
lots of
to,
money.
to millions upon millions in barely 5 months.
That's
10
right.
years compressed
That's
in
right.
1 year, in 5 months. This is amazing. This is God. Our second
Amazing,
testifier, we saw
amazing.
Mrs. Opeyemi.
That's
11
right.
years
Yes.
waiting for a baby.
That's right.
She had
That's right.
synekia. Yes, her womb was gummed together.
That's
Right,
adhesion.
psychedelic.
yes,
That's correct.
and then without
Yes.
IVF
Yes.
and without any kind of hysterectomy.
Yes.
Hysteroscopy.
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 Okay, you are the expert.
It's a visualizes.
The hysterectomy is the
Yes.
removal. You know?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and then she's carrying a miracle baby after 11 years
Yes.
and a battered womb.
That's right.
18 fibroids. What are we
I
hearing
know,
here
that's
now?
amazing. The
18
That's
fibroids.
mind blowing.
18 fibroids.
That's right.
And here
That's
she is
right.
carrying
Carry
a
her own
beautiful,
baby with
beautiful
no
boy.
intervention
No medical
whatsoever.
intervention. This can
Whoa.
only be God.
It's
Glory
God.
to God. Our
God.
third testifier, we saw the Liel syndrome.
Yes.
And also ulcerative colitis. Incurable condition, and here she is after 27
whole years.
years.
That's right.
27 years.
7
I mean,
years.
God is
God is
awesome.
awesome.
God is awesome. And our final testifier, we saw an overactive thyroid. The odds were stacked up against her. But God, I mean, the Bible says, "Who is he that saith a thing and it cometh to pass when the Lord has not commanded it?"
That's
Ah,
right.
who is he? Who is he? You know, the odds were stacked against her. But here she is. God spared her life. This is amazing. We've had
Amazing,
such a blast.
amazing.
Thank you, Dr. Paul.
Amazing.
Thank you, Dr. Uche. We have to
Amazing.
go. Our
Thank
time
you.
is far, far, far spent.
Wow.
Say something to our viewers before we go.
Oh my God, these testimonies are amazing.
They are.
I will have to say that NSPPD is a global move.
It is.
It's a global move. It is a wildfire that is cutting across continents. The testimonies are mind-blowing. What are we talking
Right.
about? Week to week, testimonies, mind-blowing testimonies
Right.
everywhere.
Right.
For our viewers, you don't have any option but to keep coming on the live stream. Keep inviting people. There are a lot of people with problems looking for solutions. Keep bringing them on the live stream, and they will always get their answers. There are no
Right.
two ways about it.
Right.
God bless you.
Dr. Uche.
Thank you so much. This is amazing.
It is.
With
It is.
so many years of my practice, I never believe in things like this happening. You know, if you want to know somebody who is the doubting Thomas, yes, I am. But with NSPPD and coming down here, joining Streams of Joy, a lot have happened in my life.
Yes.
I'm beginning to see a lot of things
Glory
and
to
beginning
God.
to actually know the Word of God.
Glory to
And hearing all these miracles that are happening, and I mean, sometimes I'm like, okay, what if this happened, that happened? But it's just awesome when you come and look at the whole picture, you know, in the whole picture, inclusively, and looked at the whole thing completely. You just have to know that God is working. God is at
working.
work. And NSPPD, Lord, you don't know, because we hear from people out there, and these have gone all over the world. People
Glory
are
to
watching
God.
this. People are joining in the prayer, and I've called my children. Everybody is part of this whole prayer.
Yes, yes.
We thank God for everything. I'll say
Thank
keep
you.
watching, keep joining. This is where it is.
Yes,
This is
yes.
where it-
Wow, wow, wow. Such an amazing time we've had today. I mean, I'll simply say what God cannot do does not exist. What God cannot do does not
exist.
What God cannot do does not exist.
Or in no day.
In no day. In no day. In no day. I mean, having seen and having heard these testimonies today, there's no better place to be than on NSPPD, 7 a.m. Nigerian time, Monday through till Friday. NSPPD continues on all of our social media handles. You need to come back, and do not come alone. Jesus never misses a service, and neither should you. The Strange Acts of God will be back Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Nigerian time. Do come back and join us, and you will be so glad you did. Have you clicked on the share button? Do not leave this live stream without clicking on the share button. Be a blessing to someone else. Be a channel for someone else's deliverance. Do you have a testimony? Do not keep back your testimony. We've seen testimonies reproduce themselves in the lives of others over and over again on NSPPD, and even here on the Streams of Joy. On the Strange Acts of God today, we saw a testimony reproduce itself in the life of Mrs. Opeyemi. So go ahead and send in your testimony to the testimony number written at the bottom of the screen if you are yet to do so. Thank you so much to our amazing guests. I mean, I've had such an amazing time with you, Dr. Paul. Thank you for coming. Dr. Uche, thank you for the wealth of knowledge that you've shared with us today. We are so grateful. That brings us to the end of our show. Thank you to our viewers for watching, and thank you to our viewers for sharing. Till next time, remember, what God cannot do does not exist. Does not exist.